Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Nikki here, and today is part 13 of my series 30 Ways to Decorate a Junk Journal. We've grabbed some magazine scrap, backed it with a little bit of coffee dyed paper just to give it a bit of strength, because you know most magazine papers can be a bit flimsy, and it is going to be a pocket. So I could have just whipped out the sewing machine, but I decided just to give it a fun sort of homemade look, I'm going to hand embroider some stitches on this pocket. I've just grabbed some DMC embroidery thread from my stash. I've split it in half, so 3 strands, because I was worried the full thickness would be just a bit too much. And I'm just going to hand do some stitches all the way around the edges. I won't bother about across the top, I don't think. Now, when you are hand stitching on paper, when you want to go from the back to the front with your needle, it's a good idea to flip it over so that you can actually see where you're placing that stitch. If you don't and you end up with it in the wrong spot, you can end up with a hole in your paper, and unlike fabric, paper's not forgiving and you don't want to end up with a heap of holes. So just flip it over when you're bringing your needle from the back to the front, and that's the best way to avoid that. So to save you dying of boredom, I've cut out all the bit where I hand stitched it. It's all done. The stitches are not even. I've sort of done it on purpose just to give it a bit of a fun rustic look. And now I'm just going to glue that down. And my so-called stainless steel pins that I bought the other day so that they wouldn't rust in my glue bottle, that little one that I picked out of that tin is definitely not stainless steel. It's already rusted horribly. But never mind, no one's going to see that because it's on the back of the pocket. So we're just pressing that down. Now we're going to put that aside because we need to create the top flap. So I found this scrap of hot pink cardstock, which I thought was a perfect match because there's some lovely hot pink in the watercolour flowers on the base of the pocket. And now we're just going to cut it a little bit wider than the actual pocket, and we've just got to make it fit, so not so that it's right up on the edge. Now we need to cut off a little wedge to actually make it look like a pocket flap. So, of course, I don't normally worry about measuring too much when I'm junk journaling, but in this case, I just had to grab the ruler and a pencil and give myself a little bit of a guide mark. And then I picked it up and realised I couldn't even see my guide mark. So I had to make that a little bit darker. And I'm just going to cut off a nice slim wedge so that we create a very traditional looking pocket flap. And I didn't realise how hard it was. This thing kept slipping everywhere when I was trying to cut it. But anyway, I do get there eventually. If my fingernail wasn't in the way, I probably would have been fine. So there we have our little flap. And I found a couple of other scraps when I was looking for this pocket, and I've decided just for a little bit of embellishment, I'm going to add a couple of strips, mainly determined because that little cute green and white check piece, that was the only scrap that I had. So I couldn't do any decoration the length of the flap, but I could put some from top to bottom. So I thought both of those, the colours really matched beautifully with the floral, and I thought a little bit of extra embellishment, so I'm just going to glue these down. And then when I press them down, you'll notice again I flip it over because I put glue the whole way down the strip and I don't want it to stick and pull off on my mat. So I just flip it over to press it down, and then we'll just have to trim off the excess bits. This is just a fun way to use up a few extra scraps and give the just I don't know, a little bit of embellishment on the top of our pocket. So we've trimmed that down. Now I'm going to hand stitch all around it, but I will save you the boredom of watching that. I will be back. So we're all stitched, but I decided still needed a little bit more embellishment. So I went through my button stash Found this cute pink and white one. Again, turned my pocket flap over to make a hole for where I want the button to be placed, just so I didn't make excess holes, and then very quickly sewing that down with the same green thread. Just once through will do, because again, trying to get it through without making holes, it's easier. It's never going to be under pressure. No one's opening this pocket, so just stitching it down once will do the job nicely. But again, I've decided it's still a little bit boring, so went through and found this little piece of lace, and we're going to glue that down. Put a heap of my tiger glue down, because it's actually very good at gluing down fabric. And I was trying to get it to scrunch up, and it was not working the way I wanted. To do that, I should have actually stitched all the way through it and then gathered it up like you would traditionally do, but no, I'm being bodgy here. So I didn't manage to scrunch it like I had in my head, but I did manage to get a few folds in it, and I'm a bit worried that they may not stay there the way I want it. So I'm trimming off the excess, and then what I did do is decide to do 3 little stitches on it, because you can see it's just not sitting the way I want. So I did 3 little stitches. Now I'm just grabbing some bling. This is one of my little tubs of bling. I know that there's pink and green blings in there, so just some giant glue drops. This glue does dry completely clear, and now we've got some pretty bling on there. No, not yet. We're going to put some glue down and put the bling on, and I just randomly pick the colours. I've got a brand new pair of tweezers there with a super fine point to help me pick these up, because I bought one of those things that nail artists use, and now I can't find it. So we're back to using a pair of tweezers. I don't know what I've done with that gem picker-upper thing, even though I don't even know how they work, but I will find it eventually. I had a big clean up of my desk the other day, and I've obviously put it somewhere safe. But never mind, it doesn't matter. So we're just going to pop down some little blings on here. I'm not going for a set pattern, doesn't matter. Just want to have some little pretty bits on there. And then we must put this aside to dry before we attach the top of the pocket. So now that's all dry. That only took a few minutes. We need to attach it. So I don't want to just glue this down, because it's thick cardstock and it will crease and it will be very hard to bend up. So I've just grabbed another little scrap here, and I'm going to attach a hinge. That way it will open with ease and you will have easy access to the pocket. And then I decided I liked the pattern the other way round. So I'm definitely using my tiger glue again here rather than just glue stick, because I've got the stitching and everything, and this will make sure that it holds down nice and firm. And then I'm just trying to make sure I place it just below the top, because you don't want to see any of that hinge. Another good dash of glue. And down we go. And now we have a pocket, which is very cute. I do like it. I'm very happy how this turned out. So just pressing that down to make sure that's nice and secure. And of course now that will open with ease. And we have to have something for in our pocket. Found this little pretty bird in Daphne's diary. Again, backed it on coffee dyed paper. And then thought I'd just use a tiny scrap of lace and a staple to hold it in place. That way the journaling card matches my little flap, and in it goes into my little pocket. And there we have it. Fun, easy. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.